I cannot tell you how easy and simple this chicken pot pie recipe is. It is so delicious. And did I tell you that it's freezable also? Yep. You can make it in individual servings like here I'm showing you, or you can make it in a big bowl. It's so simple. You eat it with the crust and yummy juicy chicken and veggies. Yum. Let's go make it. First, we melt the butter in a big pan. Then we take some chicken that's cut into cubes and just saute it. We'll add some ginger garlic paste and saute it again, basically until the chicken changes its color. We'll do this on high heat and let the chicken release its juices. Once it's done, we'll add a lot of mushrooms in it. Okay, mushrooms usually sweat और वो बिल्कुल छोटे से हो जाते हैं, so that's why we add a lot of mushrooms. My kids love mushrooms, so I just add plenty of them. Then you can add the veggies of your choice. I usually put some carrots and some celery if I have it on hand, and some frozen peas because frozen peas तो हर किसी के पास होती हैं. But frozen peas अभी नहीं डालेंगे. अभी we'll just add the carrots and celery and just quickly saute it. Then we'll add all the seasonings, which is pretty simple. Just salt, black pepper and oregano. That is it. Simplest seasoning, simplest food. I believe that simple food is always the best satisfying kind of food. And it just, when it's easy to put together, you just enjoy it even more. No, after adding all the seasonings, we'll throw in some all-purpose flour and cook for 3 to 4 minutes. Basically the idea is to cook the all-purpose flour a little bit. It will thicken the gravy, the consistency of the chicken pot pie, because we are going to add some liquid in it, right, to make it that soupy kind of texture. So after adding the water, cook it for 10 to 12 minutes. You don't have to cover it while cooking it. Basically the all-purpose flour and the water will make it into a very nice thick kind of texture. Now throw in some heavy whipping cream or some whipping cream and some frozen peas. That is it. Just let it cook for 5 to 6 more minutes and your chicken pot pie gravy is absolutely done. You can cook it a little bit more if you want a more thicker consistency, but remember that it has to cook in the oven as well a little bit, so it'll evaporate a little. Uske baad we'll just take our puff pastry sheets that we get in the frozen section of our grocery stores, and as you can see, this already comes in a form of flat sheet. This of course makes our work even more easy, but we'll still little bit roll the sheets. Even if you're making individual pies, even if you're making a big pie in a big dish, which I usually do when I'm making it in large quantity, basically to freeze, because it is freezable, right? I did tell you. So basically we just roll the puff pastry sheets a little bit. We don't want it to be extremely thin because of course we want that to puff up in the oven when it's baked, right? So don't make it too thin. Now just take your bowl, if you're doing it in an individual serving or otherwise, leave around 2 inches around the bowl and just cut your sheet accordingly, and that is it. It is so simple. Just fill your ramekin or your serving bowl with the chicken pot pie gravy, leaving some space on top just empty for evaporation. To make the egg wash, just beat an egg and your egg wash is ready. Just throw in your puff pastry sheet on top of the dish that you are going to bake your chicken pot pie in, and just fold the puff pastry sheet nicely. Make whatever design you want. I don't usually do a lot of effort in it. Just the whole idea here is that your puff pastry sheet sticks to the side, and for that you can just go in and press it with the back of a fork to really have the puff pastry sheet stick on the bowl. That is it. Prick your puff pastry sheet on the top and put the egg wash on it if you are going to bake it right away. That is it. Simple as that. Put it in a preheated oven of 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 to 30 minutes and you'll have a nice golden crispy chicken pot pie ready to go. It is so simple, so satisfying, and the crustiness of the puff pastry along with the soupiness of the chicken pot pie, it's just one of the most satisfying meals, and considering how easy it is to put together, it is one of my go-to recipes for even weekdays. If you like this video, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and like this video. Now I'll show you how I freeze it. I usually take a big bowl, which is usually an aluminum foil bowl, because you can just throw it in the freezer. And I just measure my puff pastry. It usually is 2 inches bigger than the bowl that I'm taking it in. I throw in the chicken pot pie filling in the pan. I throw on the puff pastry sheet on top of it and just go and stick the puff pastry on the sides. That is it. I just put a cling film on it and put it in the freezer for a very busy weeknight or a weekend where I don't want to cook. Take it out of the oven a couple of hours in advance. Prick the puff pastry sheet, put on the egg wash, and just bake it as usual, 350 for 20 to 25 minutes, and it will be ready.